So good morning. Let us continue. Yeah, let us continue our discussion on machine learning for image processing lectures. So in the previous class, what did we discuss? We discussed on Bayesian classification with prior, likelihood, and posterior, right? You have also seen a couple of examples or problems for each of them. Okay, so do you have any doubts in them before we move on to the discussion on to the subsequent topics of Bayesian classification itself? So how did you write your exam?
Good, sir.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so I'm sharing the screen now. Okay, so we discussed an example on Bayesian classification using posterior. Okay, so let us see one more example, but we will not solve the example fully. Okay, but I will try to give the discussion on the related aspects. Before we move on, here in the previous example, we were discussing on the associated error for this classification, right? So that aspect we will discuss a little more detail before we move on. Okay, so and then we discuss the subsequent discussion. We will move on to the subsequent discussion. So assume that in this case, okay, we want to find out the associated error. We want to quantify the associated error. Okay, the question is, how do we do it? This is the features x1, x2, and decision boundary is, say, assume that this is mu1. Okay, and this is mu2. It is at 1, 1. Okay, mu2, and decision boundary is somewhere here. Okay, assume that decision boundary is somewhere here. Okay, so in this case, so what we want to do is, see, for better easy discussion, let me do one thing. Okay, in another example, let the decision boundary be simple. The decision boundary in classification task be at x1 plus x2 is equal to 1. Okay, I just want to put a decision boundary simple to make my discussion clear. Okay, this is mu2 and this is the decision boundary. So it passes through these points. Okay, so this is x1 plus x2 is equal to 1. This is the region R1, this is the region R2. Okay, so what my objective is to quantify the associated error in classification. So assume that our decision is based on posterior. P of omega 1 given x and P of omega 2 given x. Okay, now the question is, what is associated error? In this classification, can one of you tell where should I start this discussion? How do I write this associated error in this case? P of error. This is the probability of associated error. Okay. So how did we define this? You people remember? Any of you remember? First we define P of error given X. See, this we have seen this discussion in one-dimensional case or one feature case when the feature is of one dimension. Okay, I have first defined the P of error given X, where the error is due to omega 2 given X. Okay, in R1 region, omega 1 given X in R2 region. Okay, or 1 minus of maximum of omega I given X in omega I region. Okay, Ri region. Is that clear? That is P of error given X. Using this, we have defined further the probability of error, that is the average probability of error, and then we have written in this form. Okay, now we want to do the same even here. The expressions doesn't change at all, but what do you think will change in one-dimensional features to two-dimensional features? What do you think, which things do you think will change? I wish to have an answer now for this.
X1, X2.
Oh, so there are X1, X2. Okay, where do they appear? These X1, X2. How do they reflect in the P of error?
Double integral we have to use.
Yeah, there will be a double integral. Very good. And hence there will be double integral and its limits. Okay, so those are the ones we have to see. In this case, it is easy to write the limits because we know it's only dx. So we write minus infinity to x naught and x naught, x star and x star to infinity. Okay, so it's very clear R1, R2. In this region, how do we write the limits for R1, R2 is also important. Okay, so let us try to write now. So P of error given X. So anyway, P of error, how do we define? Integral of P of error given X into P of X dx. Please note that this dx is what? In two dimensions. dx1 into dx2. Okay, and then there is a double integral here. So if I want to strictly write this, there will be a double integral. Okay, and dx1, dx2. Is this fine? Okay, one is integral with x1. Okay, one is with over dx1, another is for dx2. Is this clear? Okay, so now let us write. Okay, now tell me how should I write P of error given X in this case? Give me some idea on how should I write. How should I expand this? Double integral, fine. How should I expand this? First, I want to write P of error. Sorry. First, I want to write P of error given X. Okay. So, and then I will substitute it here. So, how should I write P of error given X? This is 1 minus of maximum of omega I given X in Ri. Okay. Or X belongs to Ri. Is this correct? Whatever I have written, is this correct? Even in multi-class scenarios? Is this clear or correct? I wish to hear from someone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So in Ri, I am deciding based on maximum of P of omega I given X. Sorry. So in Ri, right? So if okay. So Ri star is the, say, region I am considering. I star is the region Ri star. In that, the maximum I am giving as I star. Okay. So because this omega I am assuming that a general I is for all. Okay. I star is one possibility for I. Okay, where I belongs to one of the C classes. Okay. Okay, this is because see, if I write maximum of P of omega I given X among P of omega I given X, some omega 1 class may be maximum or omega 2 class may be maximum, right? So given that, we can write better using another variable I star. or I and j here. Okay, j can be running variable and I can be maximum. Omega I class can be maximum class label. Okay, maximum probability class label. Okay, fine. So now what we want to do is see write for two class case. So anyway, two class case is simple to discuss. So we will discuss for two class case. So how should I write? P of omega 1 given x for in which region? And P of omega 2 given x in which region? P of error given x I am writing. Okay, I request to someone to tell answer quickly.
R2 and R1, sir.
R2 and R1, correct. Okay, so now I want to expand this. I want to write P of error given x. Directly I want to write P of error. Okay, so double integral, fine. And P of, okay, omega 2 given x, I want to write R1 first. Okay, and P of x dx. See here, as we have already written dx1, dx2. Okay, so dx1, dx2 plus again double integral P of omega 1 given x into P of x dx1 dx2. Is this clear? This is region R2. Okay. So now the question is, how do I put the limits? R1, how should I cover the whole region R1? Okay, which limit should I put to cover region R1? If I want to cover all this region, which are the limits I should put? I need inputs from some of the students.
So,
So
like
D, yeah.
put x1 equal to 1 minus x2, you can write, and so on.
Very good. So see, in this case, that's why I have chosen this case, too easy to write. So x1 equal to 1 minus x2 if I write. Okay. So then what will happen? First initial limit I will put on, say x2 can take, say, I can write either dx1 as the independent variable. Okay. And then dx2 being the dependent variable. Either way I can write. So if I put for x1 first the overall limit, see x1 can vary from this x1, right? X2. Okay, so x1 can vary. Okay, don't bother about this. So x1 can vary from where to where? X1 can vary, okay, anywhere from minus infinity to infinity. If I put like this, then what is the limit for x2? X2 has to be, okay, 1 minus of x1. Correct? So I will replace this R1 by x2 being from minus infinity to infinity. If I write x2 being minus infinity to infinity, sorry, x1 being minus infinity to infinity, then what are the limits for x2?
Minus infinity to 1 minus x1.
1 minus x1. So you, though I have written like this, first we should compute x2. Okay. So this limits for this has to be completed, and then dx1 will do. So in fact, strictly writing this, I have to write it as, okay, dx2. Okay, and d. Okay. Oh, even this has to be interchanged, right? dx1. Oh, then here I can write it as minus infinity 1 minus x1. So x2 first I will integrate from, okay, if I take a strip for x2, okay, assume that this is a strip for x2. Okay, this strip what I will do, minus infinity to 1 minus of x1 I will first integrate. Okay, for x1, x2 will go from up to 1 minus of x1. Okay, this strip I will first move from minus infinity to here, and then this along x1 it will move from minus infinity to infinity to cover this whole region. Is this clear? Is this clear, or any doubts from any students?
Clear, sir.
Yeah. Now, how should we write this limits for this in this case? So in this case for R2, how should I write?
Minus infinity to infinity and 1 minus x1 to infinity.
Right, 1 minus x1 to infinity I will write first. Okay, and then minus infinity to infinity. Okay, and this is again dx2 and then dx1. Okay, so first I will integrate dx2 from, so if I again make a strip here, okay, this strip goes from 1 minus x1 to infinity. Okay, and then the along x1 it covers minus infinity to infinity. Fine. Okay, this is how I write the limits for computing the error. And this inside, this one can be, see, if I want to compute this, okay, in practical cases, how should this be simplified? Because see, P of omega 2 given x, I can't write directly. So what do I do now? To make
We
this
use
integral
Bayes rule.
huh?
We use Bayes rule and get it in terms of likelihood and
Right. We will get this in terms of the likelihood and prior, and then we will substitute for the likelihood, the Gaussian likelihood. We know the integrals over Gaussian functions, okay, using some tables. Hope some of you or all of you know about it. Do you know how to compute the integrals for Gaussian functions? So there are some tables through which you can say usually a Gaussian function is a standard function, right? So for that, we say if we want to compute an integral over some region, okay, so this region if you want to compute, then say some x naught minus infinity to x naught, you can, the table will give how much is the integral. Okay, similarly, if you want to compute for unit normal, usually they define. So zero mean and unit variance. For that that Gaussian, there are tables that will directly give the integral values that we will use it through transformation of variables for any other Gaussians to compute. Anyway, in exam and so on, I will not ask you to compute, but I will ask you to simplify up to this writing limits properly for whatever the results you get. See, in this case, the limits are different because the decision boundary is somewhere here. Okay, it's not, this is the decision boundary in this case. Okay, so in that case, the limits will be different. So that you should be able to write for the decision boundary you have in your solution. And then you should also write this in terms of a Gaussian function, bringing P of omega 1 as a constant out, write the Gaussian function and leave it there. Okay, if I ask any question on this in the exams. Okay, is this clear? Okay, so now let us move on to some of the practical, bringing some of the practical aspects into the Bayesian classification. See, usually what will happen, features need not be one or two. So you may have many features. In that case, you will have to, you need to deal with a feature vector, okay, with all the features x1 to xd, and use the multivariate Gaussian distributions and so on when you like expand and solve problems. Okay, this is one aspect. Second thing is the number of classes also need not be two, they can be C classes. So these aspects we are discussing now and then, but now we want to see in general, like bring the general aspects. Okay, clear. Third thing is, see all the time, say if you have two class 1 and class 2, both may not be of equal importance. That means, see, for example, if there is a fish classification problem, so there are two classes, omega 1 class and omega 2 class. Omega 1 class may be a Solomon fish. Okay, I just assign omega 1 class to Solomon fish, omega 2 class to sea bass fish. Assume that this is more costly. Okay, and probably because of its taste and so on. And this is costly and demanding or demanding class. Okay, and this sea bass is cheaper. Okay, and probably it's not as tasty as this. Okay, tasty and costly and demanding class. Okay, so in this case, see if I have a basket having what I want to do is I want to put in this basket omega 1 class samples, that is Solomon class. Okay, and this class I want to put sea bass class, sea bass samples, fishes. Okay, I'm getting the fishes. Now, instead of putting the sea bass fish, so I have actually a sample S, some sample, test sample with me. And this sample is classified by my classification algorithm, okay, to this sample X or with based on the features. Okay, it is classified to omega 1 class, that is Solomon class, but it is actually belongs to, so this is based on the obtained class label, but this actually belongs to X belongs to omega 2. This is the actual class label. Okay, and this is while this is the obtained class label, assigned class label. Okay, assigned means through classification algorithm. Okay, so now what I have done, though even though this fish is sea bass, I have now put into the Solomon basket, and I will send this to I will send this to the market and I will sell it. Will the vendor be happy with that? Will the whoever takes this or purchases this Solomon fishes, will they be happy with that?
No.
No. So in that case, do you think my business will run for a long time if there are misclassifications like this kind, that is putting the omega 2 class samples to omega 1 class samples, okay, many of the times, and then trying to sell them? Okay, do you think that I will be a good seller and will my business run for a long time?
No, sir.
No. So this is a more costlier mistake. Okay, the risk of putting omega 2 class to omega 1 class is much higher than, see, instead assume that I have some other algorithm that I'm using, and that is putting the omega 1 class samples to omega 2 class. Okay, so this is case 1. Okay, so what I'm having is, so I'm the risk of classifying omega 2 class sample to omega 1 class is high. That's what we have discussed in this case. Okay, in case 1 example. Okay, so now let us see the other scenario. So I have again a sample. This is actually belongs to omega 1 class. Okay, this is actual label. In this case, what is the problem? Now I will, by my classification algorithm, to omega 1, omega 2 class. Okay, a sample with features X. Okay, so you mean, you please note that samples has features X. Okay, so in this case, what is the problem here? this case 2. What do you think is the problem here? So will the those who buy this, will they be happy or not, first of all? So what I'm doing is I'm putting Solomon fishes, actual fishes, into Seabass basket. Okay, and then selling them. So will the vendor be fine? Will he be will the those who purchase them, will they be happy?
So those who purchase will be happy, sir.
Right, but who will not be happy?
The vendor, sir.
Yeah, vendor will not be happy. Or our business, even in this case, doesn't run, but it will not immediately get shut down. Okay, so I need to take a retrospective action to make my business better. But no one will shut down if I keep sending these things to here. So what do we see in this case is risk of which is higher, case 1 is higher or case 2 is higher? Now to run my business, which is more risky?
The case 1.
Case 1 is more risky because even though there may be a loss, okay, but the business will at least run for some time. I can have a time to take the corrections. Okay, so what I say is the risk of taking case 1. So overall, we say that risk of 1 is greater than risk of taking action 2. Okay, so what we want to incorporate these aspects also into the classification, because to make my loss more effective, it should also take the inputs of these domain aspects. Okay, so to take these aspects, what do is we make more generalized actions. That means, say, instead of saying just assigning to one of the class label, I say that alpha I is action of assigning x belongs to omega I. Okay, previously we didn't define any action, we just putting it to omega 1 class or omega 2 class. Why I define this action alpha is, see, in some cases what may happen, see, if I am doubtful of putting this to say, as you now consider the second case. Okay, in this case, okay, I am little doubtful to put into the omega 2 class or not. In that case, what I decide is I don't want to put into the omega 2 class. Okay, I just want to put it outside. Later, based on the expert decision or based on looking at the fish, I can then put into omega 1 or omega 2 class. In that case, what do I do? Only the confidential fishes which are belonging to like omega 2 class, I will put by the classification algorithm to omega 2 class. Otherwise, I will put them aside. Especially in medical examples, see, I want to say whether somebody has say pneumonia or not. So what I do, I take I examine the chest X-ray. It is normal or abnormal, I want to see. So in normal case, it's okay. So I may put it normal, but still I should not put a non-normal case or a pneumonia case to normal case. Okay, at the same time, I should not put a normal case to pneumonia case. So whenever my confidence of the classification algorithm is high, I will put into respective categories. But whenever the confidence of the classification algorithm is not high, I will just don't want to label them at all. Okay, so I want to decide an action alpha, say, so if I have C classes, so alpha 1, alpha 2, and then alpha C may be actions of putting x belongs to omega respect to omega classes, and alpha C plus 1 I define a new action. Okay, that's not assigning to any class as okay. So here there is a provision to not to include into the any of the classes. So I am now bringing a more general framework under the Bayesian classification to formulate okay the cost function and also to make it like to make a decision domain like more domain perspective. Okay, so is this clear? And the fourth aspect is, now how do we incorporate the risk? Okay, incorporating the risk. So how do we incorporate? First we define the risk. Okay, define risk. How do we define risk? Is we define, see, let alpha I be the action of x belong to omega I, we have defined, right? Let I take an action alpha I on a given example, but it originally belongs to omega z class. So there is a risk, right? So there is a risk associated in taking action alpha I when it is really belonging to omega z class. Yes or no? X belongs to omega z class. Okay. So what I'm doing is taking action alpha I means my classification algorithm is assigning a label omega I. Okay. So taking action alpha I means classification algorithm is assigning a label omega I. Fine. Is that clear? Then there is a risk when alpha I and j are not same. Correct or not? So this we define as the risk. So here, so now what I want to say in case 1, I want to write in my notation what is that risk, associated risk. I want to just write in with the introduced notation on what is the risk in case 1. And also I want to write the risk in case 2. Can somebody help me in writing here? So what should I write here? Risk of taking
alpha 1 given omega 2.
Okay, alpha 1 because it's assigned given omega 2. Okay, so the sample belongs to omega 2 class. Okay, because we by examining it by ground truth or by subsequently looking at it, we know that it is belongs to omega 2 class, but the classification algorithm has assigned omega 1. Okay, class. So it is action alpha 1 is taken. Okay, so in this case, risk of taking action
Alpha 2 given omega 1.
Given omega 1. So essentially what we are saying here, risk of taking, okay, alpha 1 given it belongs to omega 2 class is higher than risk of taking, okay, alpha 2 action given omega 1 class. Okay, so this is risk of case 1 here. So this is case 2. Okay, that's what we have discussed so far. So this can happen in practical scenarios. Okay, especially in medical scenarios, this is even more important. See, a pneumonia patient, if we say that he doesn't have pneumonia, then what will happen? He will not be examined, right? He may face the subsequent difficulties. Say, for example, COVID patient, okay, not considered as being affected by COVID. Then what will happen? It's a much more risky problem than examining him. Okay, when there is a doubt or when the candidate is okay, even though the there is a marginal probability that he has COVID. Okay, so in that way, this is one of the very important aspect that Bayesian classification has the capability of incorporating. Okay, so as I said, the Bayesian classification was famous or very widely used because of the first reason, you can quantify through probabilistic terms and you can have a cost function. Okay, if the prior likelihood details are known, it can be like solved to find out the decision boundary, and the decision boundary is optimal. Okay, so optimal in the sense Bayesian classification is said to give the best classification or the decision boundary in case the prior and likelihoods are known. The second aspect is you can quantify the error associated with the classification in Bayesian classification. Third aspect is you can bring in the terms like the of practical importance like risk, okay, and taking action other than the classifying into one of the categories nicely into the mathematical frameworks. Okay, fine. So now with these definitions, what we want to see is we want to define the risk, overall risk. See, this is only the risk taking action alpha I given omega z. Okay, we want to see the decision boundary. Again, we want to have the same things. Finding decision boundary using the risk rather than using the probabilities, because this risk is more general aspect. Okay, so first let us relate this risk, okay, and the probabilities. Then we will discuss on the finding decision boundaries and associated errors and so on. So now let us relate risk R of alpha I given omega z, okay, and P of omega I given x, or P of omega z given x. Okay, so can somebody help me? How should I do that? Okay, so if I take an, yeah, sorry for the small notational change. This is defined as this risk of taking action alpha I given omega z. We define it with lambda. Okay, so this is the, even though it is a risk, okay, when we define the overall risk, it will come into picture. Okay, so for time being, please note that the definition for this is with lambda. That means lambda alpha I given omega z means that I am taking action alpha I when the actual class label is omega z. Omega z. Okay, so now what I want to do is, if a sample x, okay, is assigned to alpha I class, what is the risk associated with it? Okay, this is what I want to see. See, previously what I have defined, the loss or the risk when I take an action alpha I when the actual sample is omega z. That's what I have discussed before. Now what I want to see is if a sample x belongs to, so if a feature x, samples of the feature x are given, if I take an action alpha I, let it maybe belongs to omega 1 class or omega 2 class, but I have just taken action alpha I that is assigned to omega 1 class. In that case, what is the overall risk? Okay, so that's what I want to quantify. Fine. So to bring the terms more clear, I will discuss one more time. So we define the risk or loss, I can say loss associated with taken with taking action alpha I when x belongs to omega z. Let us call this as loss, okay, and let us call this as risk. Okay, so here as well, please consider this as loss. Okay, so now the question is, how should I write overall risk in taking action alpha I? Can somebody guess? Okay, so what do you think this will have which terms in it? What are the terms you think it may have? See, I have taken x belongs to alpha I. I assume that in this case, to simplify our discussion, let there are only omega 1 and omega 2 classes. Okay, so actions alpha 1 and alpha 2. Okay, are only possible actions. Now can you guess what terms will this have? see what can happen. X actually, say I have anyway taken action alpha I. Okay. So, but X may belongs to omega 1 or omega 2. Right? So, is there any other possibility for X? No, right? So, if X belongs to omega 1, is there any loss associated with it? And if X belongs to omega 2 class, is there any loss associated with it? In risk, what I want to do is, I want to quantify the overall loss. Okay. With respect to, say, terms. So, what I want to do is loss when, okay, X belongs to omega 1 and action is omega 1 and action is alpha 1, okay, plus loss when X belongs to omega 2 but action is omega 1 only, okay, alpha 1. Okay, this is what I want to do, right? Because is the notation clear? R of alpha 1 given X means I have taken action alpha I, okay, or alpha 1, irrespective of X belongs to omega 1 class or omega 2 class. So I have written here R of alpha 1 given X now. Okay, just to bring the example. So can some of you tell? Is this clear or not, first of all? Yeah. So somebody should quickly tell in case if there is any doubt in this. Okay, if you don't have doubt, I need some answer on how should I quantify and how should I include the loss associated with X belongs to omega 1 when the action is taken also is alpha 1. Similarly, when the X belongs to omega 2 and action is alpha 1. I want to bring these two terms into this. Okay, these are only the two possibilities, right? So if I want to bring these two into the expression, how should I bring in is the question. Any guesses here? No guess at all. So which term should be here? You need not tell the all terms, but at least one or two terms you should tell. Yeah, I needed some. Yeah.
Lambda alpha 1 given omega 2 into P of omega 2 given X, sir.
No. For you, which one you are asking? So two terms are here. I need one term and then other term. Which term you are telling? You are telling first term or second term?
Second term, sir.
Okay. So lambda of alpha 1 given omega 2
Into P of omega 2 given X, sir.
Right. Why this P of omega 2 given X comes? Why does first of all P lambda alpha 1 given omega 2 comes? Oh, why does lambda alpha 1 given omega 2 comes?
Loss associated.
Yeah. So this is the loss associated with this. Okay. So that's why I have put alpha 1 given omega 2. Okay. That is just that whichever we have like defined, we have used it here. But why does the second term comes? P of omega 2 given X. Any answer? Any guess? Okay, so let it be there. Okay, now first term, can some of you tell? Any other student? What should
Zero,
be
sir.
first term?
0, sir.
Okay, in general, ideally it should be 0, but let us write it to make the general expression. So if you want to write it, alpha 1 given omega 1, correct? Because the sample belongs to omega 1 and all action is also alpha 1. And then I should write here, similar to the other one, what should I write here?
Omega 1 given X.
Right. So I say that this is correct. Very good. So this is correct. But why do you think omega 1 given x and p of omega 2 given x comes into picture?
So we're given the sample.
No,
now,
we are given the sample, correct?
now we need to classify it, and after
Right.
classification only we can calculate the loss.
Right. Okay. Okay. We did not classify, but at least we should quantify omega 2 given x or omega 1 given x. Okay. So this is not the loss fully. This is only the risk. This is close to loss, but this is a loss in classifying a particular sample to omega 1 class. Correct? So any other reason? This is also fine, somewhat fine, but I think I need more specific reason. Why P of omega 1 given x and P of omega 2 x comes into the picture?
When we are calculating risk, we also have to take into account how likely we are to do something. So if I'm going to do this, this is the loss, that is lambda. But then
Right.
probability of me performing this lossy action is given by P of omega given x.
Right, correct. Because see, for example, if my P of omega 2 given x is okay, very small, then what will happen if it is 0, for example, then I will not put into this, okay, this loss term doesn't come into picture. So with what confidence am I putting to omega 1 or omega 2 class also has into picture in finding out the overall risk. Okay. So because there are two possibilities, we say even if there are more possibilities, with respect to with what confidence do I put into that category, I should see, and associated that should be multiplied with the loss associated in putting to that category. Okay. So put into other category or other category when this belongs to this category. Fine. Is that clear? Is this discussion clear? Yes or no? If any questions, please ask. I will move on now. Yeah, if this is clear, now how do I define R of alpha
Yes,
to
sir.
given x?
Clear.
How do I define R of alpha to given x? What do you mean by R of alpha to given x? Taking action alpha 2, okay, for given features x, okay, or sample, okay, yes, okay. So this is what, this how do I quantify? How do I quantify this? Quickly, please tell.
Alpha
Lambda of
given
omega 2 given
omega
lambda of
Omega 2 given?
lambda of alpha 2 given omega 1 into P
Right.
of omega
Alpha 2
1
given omega 1
given x plus
into P
lambda
of
of alpha 2 given omega 2
omega 1 given x.
into P of omega 2
Yes.
given
Lambda of alpha 2 given
x
omega
plus
2.
lambda of alpha 2 given omega 2.
Okay. Fine. Is this correct? Okay. So now what I have taken is, this is risk in taking action alpha 2. So I have now risk in taking our action, okay, alpha 1 and risk in taking action alpha 2. Okay, rather than the probabilities now, I have the risk in taking action alpha 1 and alpha 2. Given these risks, okay, so I want to come up a decision boundary and decision rule and associated errors, okay, based on this risk. How should I get the decision, okay, rule based on the risk? Any answer?
So
X belongs to
sample
omega
belongs
1.
to arg. If so, actually arg min of r alpha 1 x and r alpha 2.
Yeah, let us write first for the 2 class case to make our job simple. If and only if, or if, when x belongs to omega 1, when?
If r of alpha given x is less than r of alpha 2.
Okay, R of alpha 1 given x is less than
r of
alpha given x. Okay, in this case, I am looking for less than. Okay, less than or equal to is also fine. Okay, so I am taking in this case, I am looking for, so let me write this clearly. Alpha 1 given x is less than or
నీ భార్య పెట్టుకొని తింటప్పు
What is that? Please note. Decision now boundary. How should I write the decision boundary? X belongs to. So decision boundary, how should I find? How should I find the decision boundary?
R of alpha given x is equals to R of alpha 2.
Yeah, R of alpha 1 given x is equal to R of alpha 2 given x. Okay, and then once I find the decision boundary, okay, if I want to write the overall probability of error, okay, instead of probability of error here, probability of risk I want to write. Okay, overall probability of risk. So, or overall. How should I write overall probability of risk? Any guesses here?
So minimum of R of alpha given x and R of alpha 2.
Okay, so what I can do is first, okay, see R of x I can write first. Okay, read risk at for given feature. Okay, that means if I have x, several possibilities for this feature x, at a given x I can write the risk first. Okay, then the overall risk is equal to, okay, what I write? Overall risk is equal to R of x into what? R of x dx or anything else? Yeah, quickly complete this. So we will conclude now. R of x into
P of x.
P of x dx. Okay, because probability at which this x occurs, okay, is P of x. Okay, so and then R of x, how do I write? Is this minimum of this, or how should I write R of x? What is R of x? Just with that we will conclude. Please tell what should be the R of x.
The minimum of R of given alpha x and R of alpha 2.
Okay, will this be minimum? See, I am taking to which class? I am deciding x to the class where risk is minimum. So, yeah, correct. That directly will give. That is the risk I am taking care. Okay, I am putting into that class. So that is the risk I am taking care. Minimum of R of alpha I given x in this case. Fine. Or in this case, R of alpha 1 given x. Minimum of R of alpha I equal to 1 to 2 or C classes. Okay, is this clear? So this is how the decision boundary, decision rule, and the risk change. Okay, so now what I will do is I will give you a please take the same examples. Okay, but I will give you so lambda 1, this is called short form lambda 1 2 we can write. Okay, so this is equal to say 0.5 and lambda omega 2 given alpha 1 is equal to say 2. I just assume that I have given like this. Okay, to change the questions, please take the previous question and put these values and try. Okay, see what will happen. Okay, so this is. Okay, so this is in short form 1 2 lambda 2 1. Okay, in short form we can write lambda 2 1 lambda 1 2. Okay, so with this you just take the case where you have the equal probabilities, prior probabilities and likelihoods with Gaussian. Okay, normal densities which we have discussed before. Then non-equal probabilities and then these loss functions. And try to find out the decision boundary and decision rules. Okay, so at least solve one example and come back. We will discuss in the next class subsequently. Mostly in the next class, I will show some of the slides to get an understanding of how the decision boundaries in 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions appear. Okay, and we will conclude the Bayesian classification in the next class. Thank you then. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we will conclude our class here. Any questions? Okay. Thank you then. Bye.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, in the
Ask.
programming assignment, can we discuss the programming assignment once, sir?
Okay. First assignment. Okay. Fine. You can discuss quickly. Those who want to leave can leave. Because if you have class, you can leave. Otherwise, you can discuss.
The programming assignment, sir, I was saying.